who knows too much.
Mary, Mary, where you going to? With that eyedropper of liquid LSD in your hand, baby. Let me explain how the world really works. There's an extremely wealthy oligarchy of American aristocrats, many of whom have strong alliances with relatives in Europe, and they regularly gather in private ceremonies to harmonize while plotting a future that involves preserving their great fortunes, cartels, and secret monopolies. Today, most people call this crowd the elites, but I call them old money. Mary Meyer was one of this crew and wore charm and grace like a second skin, according to her friends. She may have been one of the few women sexy enough to lure JFK away from Marilyn Monroe, and she enjoyed bringing sacraments to her liaisons with the president, usually marijuana, which was good for his back pain, but also at least one time LSD, because it was legal at the time while pot was not, and she felt everyone could benefit from a psychedelic-induced spiritual awakening. Mary's best friend from college married James Angleton, who rose to head of CIA counterintelligence, the dirty tricks side of the agency, while Mary married Cord Meyer, who rose to become chief of the CIA's Project Mockingbird, the mission to plant propaganda in news and entertainment media. Mary became a famous journalist herself. Old money has a left and right, and just like all the rest of us slobs are supposed to divide up into liberals and conservatives, old money divides to commander those ops. Only us regular slobs can only read the news, while old money owns the newspaper plant. Mary was at the top of the liberal wing of old money, the ones who'd been funding the communist, socialist, and labor movements. LSD was being passed around freely at the CIA at the time and being experimented with for mind control ops involving hypnosis, so Mary had no trouble getting access. Almost immediately, her life changed dramatically, and she took on the mission to turn on the most powerful people in Washington so they might see the divine light and start working for world peace. Apparently, she didn't realize Washington is run by the military-industrial complex. Both Kennedy brothers apparently fell under Mary's influence around this time, but then most males in Washington swooned a bit when Mary passed by. What Mary didn't know, however, was that devious James Angleton had long been bugging her phone, reading her mail, and secretly using Mary as a source of intelligence as she weaved through the upper circles of society, spreading her message of world peace. So when Mary began talking with Timothy Leary in order to get advice on how to best invoke a spiritual response on LSD, Angleton was listening in. And after Mary reported to Leary that Jack loved LSD and had secretly joined her mission to end the Cold War and dismantle the nuclear arms race, well, Angleton took that news to his mentor, Allen Dulles, cousin by marriage to the Rockefellers, the man who once ran the CIA but had been fired by Kennedy after the Bay of Pigs debacle. Mary called Leary after the assassination and was distraught. "He was changing too fast," she sobbed. "They covered up everything, I'm afraid." On October 12, 1964, 2 weeks after the publication of the fraudulent Warren Commission report, she was found dead on a jogging path in the park. 2 bullets, one to the head, one to the heart, gangland execution style. I checked on Mad Dog William Harvey and Handsome John Roselli to see if one were in Washington that day, although a homeless black man found in the park became the designated patsy. Meanwhile, within minutes, Angleton arrived at Mary's home to retrieve her diary and any other potentially dangerous evidence. Just shine a light on James Angleton and his movements and mindset immediately after the assassination, and you'll see a trail of dead bodies leading off into the darkness. Even today, Project Mockingbird continues, and part of its propaganda is to make you think we still don't know who killed Kennedy. A few even push the tired old Oswald acted alone. But the truth has been available for decades if you know how to sift through the disinfo for kernels of truth. And once you connect enough dots, it ends with Angleton and Dulles.
Before my time is through, I'm going all the way, pretty baby, to see what I can do.